Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Sonia Kaur Bansal and welcome to Gyanvihar School of Education, Suresh Gyanvihar University. And today's my topic is about education and social change. What and in what way education affects the social change and how it is achieved. So let's understand about it. And today's topics learning objectives are to enable you students about understanding of the concept of social change, how it is prevailing in the society and how it is affecting the people of the society, and what are the factors that are making possible for the people to bring a social change, and so many other things we are going to study in this lecture. So let's understand that, students. Now, first of all, let us be clear about the concept of social change, what it is. So, social change in the lifestyle of a group, community, or society. It's a change. Change itself is a word which is denoting to something that was not previously happening, or something that was not in previous state, but now its form is changed. So change in the lifestyle of a group, community, or society is definitely dedicated to the term social change. Maybe it is about change in dress habits, food habits, marriage rituals, customs, traditions, folkways, mores, taboos, saving behavior, so production and distribution techniques, etc., to a change in attitudes, beliefs, and values. Many of us say many times is this thing that we are facing some changes now. Earlier, it was not in the habit of this thing or that thing. So when we keep on saying such words, बहुत change आ गया है, so that means we are facing some changes, or maybe this is the way the people dress up themselves, or how they eat, and the food culture. Definitely with the helping of more and more machines in the kitchen itself. So the food habits have been changed. So in the case of everything, when people are feeling that there is something which has been changed, it was not earlier, which their previous generations must have faced or must be practicing. So this is called social change. So overall, it is bringing up a very good change in a, or maybe positive or maybe negative change in a lifestyle of a group, a particular group, maybe of a religion, or maybe of a society or community. But definitely, this thing has to be cleared out that the changes are there in the society. Now, these are the famous definitions, students, that you must go through about Ogbone's and Jones' definition. So, Ogbone and Jones is giving the definition of social change. Ogbone says social change means change in culture in two ways: material culture and non material culture. So, what is material culture and non material culture? This is given by Ogbone. So culture change in cultural ways, or change in the way the people are behaving in the ways that they used to be. So this is called cultural change. So material culture, when the things are related to materials, and non-material is definitely indicating towards the spiritual culture, which is a long cherished culture in our Indian perspectives. Now, in the terms of definitions of given by Jones, so Jones says that social change is a term used to describe variations and movements in social process, social interactions, or social organizations. So this is something that is bringing some movements in, and this movement is leading towards the progress of the society and progress of the interaction among the different groups of the society or social organizations. So this is called social change. Now students, let's have a look on the different aspects of social change. So social change can be seen in many aspects of the life. And here are some in front of you: economic aspect, political aspect, religious aspect, moral aspect, scientific and technological aspect. When we see that, first of all, I'm talking about economic aspect. So we always divide our society into basically three parts: higher income group, or middle income group, or lower income group. So when the higher income group shows some changes in society, maybe it is getting more and more rich, and middle income group, maybe it is uh, doing best of its efforts to get more economical stability. And talking about lower group may be getting more in a lower position. So maybe the situation can be any of them, or maybe different from them, which I have explained right now. So these are the aspects that belong to economical aspect of the society. And we cannot separate the economical aspect of the society when we are studying about social change. Then let's say about political aspect. There are many parties in India who are governing, who are in the ruling parties. So, why a party comes into government? Why it becomes a ruling party? Why it makes government? Their ideologies, their good things, what they actually showcase during the propagation. So, political aspect is something that brings a required or unrequired social change. The ideologies of a particular political party affects the people in a very different way. Maybe it is in positive, or maybe it is in negative way. So it depends on that also. So this is also the another very important aspect from which we can see the social change. Now the next aspect, which is also very important, that is religious aspect. So religious aspect is something that due to some cultural point of views, or due to some religion point of views, people used to do so many rituals, maybe celebrating many festivals. But religious aspect is something that if the people are changing their mind, and if some group of people, maybe some particular religion people, they are becoming more moderate towards other people also. So it is also about a good change in any religion. Then next is about moral aspects. Many of us have been saying then and there that now moral values are being deteriorated in people. It was not earlier when our ancestors were there in the country. So this is about moral aspect, students, that is very very important to bring about social change. There was a time when in the city of Chandragupta Maurya, there were no locks on the doors. So it was all because of moral aspect of the people. But now, uh, the increasing cases of riots, theft, robbery, now people cannot do this. That they cannot unlock their homes and they can go anywhere. So moral aspect is something that is helping. If the moral values are high of any society, it is helping to grow them in a very good way. But on the contrary, if moral values are deteriorating, then crimes would be increasing in that society. So it would definitely bring a social change. So next is scientific and technological aspect, which you all are facing nowadays, especially due to pandemic situation. When COVID, we all are dealing with COVID situations. So this is something that I'm talking about, that scientific and technological aspect also changes the society, and this is the major change which has come. Social medias and so many apps help people to connect with each other, but there are some drawbacks, of course, and which bring social change. Nowadays it is not tough to be in touch with each other. You can just send a text message or WhatsApp message, or you can email, you can do messenger, or you can avail any of the services you like. You can make a video call. So this is something that is enhancing the personal relationships of the people, and as well it is affecting the education system also. Online classes is one of the example of this thing. So these are different aspects of social change that we see in our society. Now let's have a look on the types of social change, students. There are basically three changes that we see as social changes. So, first of all, that is about civilizational changes. The whole civilization is being changed. Then, second thing, what we observe in social change, that is changes in social relation. This is another type of social change. Changes in social relationships. Then, thirdly, we go to another type, that is cultural changes. So, civilizational changes, changes in social relationships, and cultural changes. These are the major types of social changes. Now, factors bringing about social changes, that's very important to know about us. Students, when we talk about social change, then it is not a nightmare, or it is not the like one day suddenly changing something. It is the result of a long process, long practices that a particular community or the people of the society or a particular group has practiced. And in results, there is a negative or positive social change. So, impact is something that we are receiving from some factors, and due to that, we are facing some changes. So let's understand them one by one very effectively. Now, these are factors which we are going to discuss about social change. First of all, impact of changes in physical environment. Yes, geographical environment, physical environment, and you know that due to natural calamities like earthquakes, tsunami, etc. These are very important and major factors which affect the whole society in a way. There was an earthquake in earlier in India and other countries also. And due to that earthquake, the whole system of the society was disturbed, and people had to rebuild all the things which they had built it up earlier. So just understand, students, when these type of calamities, natural calamities happen in any area, then it's for sure that the people of those areas will are going to face the social change. Then next, we are going to discuss about impact and discoveries and inventions in science and technologies. So as we think about the ancient India or medieval India, we can't think about WhatsApp or social media ages in that era. But now the things have been changed into a drastic mode. The global society is a concept that is being very much in fame nowadays. So, whatever the researches are being done, it is for the benefits of people. And I'm sure you all must be thinking and just analyzing this thing, that if it had been 70, 80 years back of this pandemic situation, where when in 1920, 1919, there was a Spanish flu, and people were not so much aware, and there were not so much research about it, and there was no science and not so much effective science and technology, because the people were doing researches, but the speed was little more required. But in nowadays, one day it happens something and it is out to the whole world. So then the people start behaving in that way. Now the people have changed their lifestyles, as doctors have suggested them so many good ways to improve their immunities. So this is something that is bringing a good social change in them. What measures to be taken to save ourselves? That is being delivered day to day researches. Okay, so now let's see the another impact, that is impact of war and other man-made explosions. Hiroshima and Nagasaki examples are there in front of you, and World War One, World War Two are here, and we really must think about it, that when these type of man-made disasters are made, then a huge amount of people or group, they are severely affected, and in any ways, either it is economically, politically, socially, morally, scientifically, technologically, whatever we have discussed just now, all the changes are there in that form, and the social change is definitely a mandatory thing to come. Then the impact of ideas and ideologies founded and propagated by exceptional individuals. Impact of our national father, Mahatma Gandhi. We can't deny his impact on Indian people. Impact of Vivekanand. We cannot deny his impact on Indian people as well as on American people, where he gave his wonderful speech in Chicago. So this is something that we are following. So when there are some exceptional individuals in the society who say something, there is definitely a social change. All right, students. And then let's see the effect of cultural diffusions. Yes, our India is always considered very, very rich in our cultures, traditions, rituals. We have given so much to another cultures, but we have received also. We have, if we see many monuments in India, then they are some of the effect is taken from medieval period also, and then British period also, where the Mughals and Britishers have affected us with their own culture, and we have as well affected them with our own culture. So this type of culture diffusion is actually responsible for bringing up the social change. What the earlier people were doing, in what way the earlier people were following their culture, now the now present generations or upcoming generations are not going to follow that in that way. So it is a must for you to understand that effect of cultural diffusion leads to bring a good social change sometimes. Then next, planned human activities like industrialization, urbanization, modernization, globalization, etc. All of us, we have seen a very drastic incident in last few months, Chamoli's district Uttarakhand incident. It was just due to modernization, the whole area was transferred into some engineering thing, and it was like people were suffering there. So natural things were disturbed, and when we are cutting the trees, this is also man-made human activities, which is leading towards the problems. So social change is there, industrialization causing this. So machinery has affected the hard labor of people. So this is something that we must think when we are discussing about the factors which are bringing the social change. Now, according to Professor W.J.H. Sprott, there are two types of factors: exogenous factors and endogenous factors. Now, what are the exogenous factors and endogenous factors? Let's have a look, students. Now, see, you can see a pyramid on my screen. Now, you can see exogenous, physical, and biological in nature. These are the changes which can be seen in the structure of biological form, and endogenous but episodic in character. And then cultural, endogenous but planned and patterned. So we can see two forms of endogenous, that is technological and cultural. So endogenous is something that you can just feel in character, and it can be planned and patterned also. How the culture is shaping up, how the technology is shaping up. We can see through these changes through endogenous point of view. But how the people are showing some different traits from their physical and biological point of view. This is exogenous point of view. Now, factors resisting social change. There is something, students, which is leading up to resistance of social change, that people do not want any change. They want to be like that only. You must have seen some people. No, we don't want any change. We want the things as they were earlier. And if there is any change, they get restless. So, what are those factors? Just understand it in 4 points. Cultural inertia. It doesn't happen in my culture. I belong to this culture. My culture says this, and I will follow this. So, this type of ideology or this type of thought is actually motivating the students to just stop themselves to bring any kind of change in their life. So cultural factor is something that people are feel binded by their culture, and they do as it is given to them from their ancestors. So they are not willing to change. Okay. So now next is fear of new things. Definitely, students, when there is a new thing, some sort of risk is also felt. So, fear of new things is leading to the resistance of social change. In our country, people now a lot of change has come in educating the girl child. But earlier, people were strictly actually not in favor to educate the girl child, as they thought that this would not be helping them. And this fear of new things has led them towards the resistance of social change. They were not adopting the new good things even. So these are some factors which were actually very much responsible for not bringing up social change. Now, vested interest. My interest is something else and your interest is something else. So how can we bring together a good social change? We cannot. So this is something when people are having different interests in a group, in a community, in a society, then different interest people we cannot bring a good social change. They will be in their own shell only. Okay. Now this is another thing, degree of isolation. People bring social change when they interact with society. But if people are just in their own way and they enjoy their isolation and they don't want to mix up with other people, so how can it be possible to bring a good social change? It is not possible. So just understand, students said that these are the factors resisting social change: that cultural inertia, fear of new things, vested interest, degree of isolation. These are the factors which are really affecting social change. Now, students, barriers to social change. Social change is many times bringing some goodness to society, but people living in society or a particular group, they create some barriers also. So, what are those barriers we are going to discuss? So, barriers, first one is closed type social setup. Now, there are two types of social setup: open setup and closed type. Open type setup is something having the broad vision and broad mindedness, where they are actually assimilating other people's idea into their own. What they do think, they are actually adding someone other's ideas also. They're not so strict to their own things, they are flexible, they are exchanging the ideas. But there are some type of societies which are closed type, that means they will be into their own shell. They are not considering any other people, any other group, any other society to get involved with them, or to interact with them, or to share or exchange the ideas with them. So when there is no exchange of ideas, when there is no any good interaction upon the modernization or any other good social change that people are thinking of other side, then how can we bring a good social change in closed type of social setup? So closed type of social setup is always a barrier to social change. It creates a hindrance in path of that. Again, another barrier to social change, that fear and anxiety towards new things and practices. People are stick to their own proven patterns, own practices, which were given to them by their elders or ancestors. They are happy with that. They are not giving any other logical thought that why it is done and why it should not be done. And what will happen if we leave that particular thing? So maybe some type of superstition is also leading them to do that. But definitely the fear of anxiety becomes, fear and anxiety are the two things that are becoming major responsible factors for creating new things and practices in the society. So it will definitely not bring a good social change in any society. Then absence of new discoveries in science and technology to their diffusion among the population. Students, it is always considered very good for a society who is research oriented, who is very innovative. The society which is very innovative, which is research oriented, is actually determined to bring good social change among the population. But if there is absence of new discoveries, new researches in the field of science and technologies, we are stick to only traditional methods of doing everything, then how can it be possible to bring the social change? And isolation is another repeated point that is counted in barrier to social change. Interaction is more important, students, when we are talking about social change. Now, restraints of social change, factors opposing social change. There are this is some list of some factors which are opposing social change. We are not favoring. So just understand, students, that when we are talking about different aspects of social change, we included political, educational, religious, moral, scientific, technological, and so many others aspects of social change. But there are, on this contrary, there are some factors which are not accepting social change. They are in opposition. All right. So first of all, in that case, shortage of inventions. We don't have any inventions. How can we bring the social change? We suppose we had the way of communication like writing letters to each other, and there was no invention, there was no WhatsApp, there was no smartphone, there was no invention. Then do you think there would have been a good social change that now we, the way we are interacting with our relatives who is sitting far abroad, and we are easily interacting with that person? So will there be any change? No, there would have not been any change. All right. So shortage of inventions is a big factor which is opposing social change. So any good society must be inventions oriented, research oriented. Then another thing is psychological restraint. When I have some setup of mind that no, I'm not going to accept it, I'm not going to change it, I'm not going to use smartphone, myself very much restricted to it, and I'm not going to teach through online method, new methods. I'm happy with offline teaching and I would be restricted to that. So when the whole process is being done for bringing up a social change, some people actually create these type of restraints where the social change gets disturbed, and these are some psychological restraints counted in that. Then political conditions. What type of political conditions are there? How many political parties are working in our country, and which party is in center, which party is working in state, and so on with others. So how the political conditions are affecting our social change? Are these political parties really working something on bringing up the social change, or they are just enjoying their own tenure for being in government? So this is the point to be given a thought. Now next is economic condition. Economic condition is actually a biggest factor which leads to social change or not. If the child from a lower middle class or lower society, lower income group is very talented and good at computer skills, but the child is not having opportunities to afford the computer or good sound system to express himself, or to just give himself the opportunities to explore more and more about the content. So these are some types of economic conditions that are leading to not giving support to social change. Then social conditions. What type of social conditions are people are just facing the problems? What type of society is there? Society is narrow-minded or broad-minded, or is the society is really cultural oriented or rituals oriented? What type of social conditions are there? This matters a lot for bringing up the social change. And then cultural conditions, how the culture is leading to the social change. Definitely, because culture leads us and culture shows us the way how we should talk and how should we dress up and how should we eat. So this is our culture. But if the cultural condition is so closed setup, so it is definitely a barrier to social change. Then fear and isolation are the another factors which create restraints to social change. So again, we are just summarizing these factors affecting social change, that are cultural factor, geographical factors, environmental factors. We have discussed about it, about calamities and all that, economic factors, technological factors, students, factors of populations, where the population is high, the social changes are little difficult to bring. Where the social population is low, then social changes maybe in some cases it is possible to bring the social changes, but not in every case. Psychological factors we have discussed, ideological factors, factor of war, miscellaneous factors are leading to the factors affecting social changes. So just remember these factors when we are discussing about something, factors affecting the social change. Now students, let's have a look on the theories of social change, how there comes a social change, how the change happens in a society. It is based on some assumptions of good theories. So, unilinear theory, there are some theories just have a name from them. Unilinear theory, cyclical theory, then evolutionary theory, then theory of deterioration, then deterministic theory, purposeful theory, then next is spiritual theory, great men theory of history, theory of technological progress. So these are all the theories that actually bring the social change in some or the another way, how they bring the change. It is all about that. Now, theories of social change, two subsystems, projective systems, maintenance systems. They follow these type of systems. Two subsystems, projective systems, and maintenance systems. Now, we can have a look on the environmental theory, cultural theory, eclectic theory. These are also the theories which are related to the social change. Now, main factors causing, affecting social change in India. Whatever we have discussed is that was a general case. But now let's discuss the main factors affecting social change in India. So, how we are getting affected by it? How the people of India are getting affected by it? So, first of all, westernization. The young people are getting more and more affected by westernization. And it is not like that, it is bad in all perspectives. We have learned so many good things from Western countries also. So, westernization is the one part that is affecting social change in India, or we can say bringing up social change in India. Then, industrialization. Growing industries are giving more and more opportunities to brilliant youth of India. So industrialization in at a one part is increasing the uses of machineries, but on the other hand, it is not neglecting the value of human beings. So some sort of social change is definitely there when industrialization is growing more and more. When there were the days when Indian people were dependent on each and everything from outsources. But now we are trying to be independent. So this is also a growth social change. Urbanization. Many people are leaving their villages and getting shifted to the cities. And this is the actually big thing that is leading towards social change in India. So they have uprooted themselves, and a great urbanization is leading towards a social change. Casteism. This is another thing that is leading to social change. In our caste, this thing happens. This thing doesn't happen. So whatever is factor we are discussing about causes, we are discussing how the social change is happening in India. So casteism is a strong point. Then secularization, social mobility. And in social mobility, we are including about horizontal mobility and vertical mobility, where the society is moving towards horizontally or vertically. The society is mobile, it is not stagnant. So it is also affecting social change in a good way. Then politicalization means that political parties, how they are keeping the country's politics in a higher mode or lower mode. How the government is working. Is it really working for the sake of people? Then if any government party, any government political party is working for the sake of political people of India, then a good social change is definitely to occur. Then Indianization. Yes, I'm Indian and it will affect my social change. And I will, if I'm rigid to that, and if I'm not open to accept any other cultures, good things, good values, then it will affect me to accept the social change. So Indianization is another thing. Then students, modernization. Modernization is something that we have discussed in earlier points also. Westernization, industrialization. Modernization is something that is leading us towards a different look, what has to be prevailed in societies earlier. So this is something that we discussed about main factors affecting social change in India. Now students, let's discuss something about education and social change. Let's see the role of education in social change. Education perpetuates eternal values. We all know it that education is something that is actually inculcating values among the children. So, and it also promotes capacity to welcome social change. Education is all about making people aware of what is right and what is wrong with right values. So people are doing it in that way. Then evaluation of social change aids coming to new social changes. Transmission of culture is possible only through education. And education about social change, what it is and how it is brought out. So this is something that the education plays an important role in bringing about the social change. Removal of obstacles, how the obstacles are removed and what were the barriers we were discussed earlier, like secularization, isolation, casteism. So these were some obstacles that uh, are actually strongly stand up in the way of social change. So and it is only possible to remove that with the help of education. Increasing the areas of knowledge, leadership role in social changes, mother of new changes. So spreading knowledge, it is one of the way that people are getting aware more and more about a particular way. You are educating them and they are bringing a good change. Why to abolish a particular tradition? Because it is not good for us. But people are not going to leave that particular tradition because it was in their custom, it was in their tradition. So but educating people would only help us to bring a good social change, and they will stop it definitely. Stabilizing democratic values are itself fantastic values which are if followed sincerely, we bring social change time to time. Levels of social change, let's see that. Surface level, depth level. It is very important that how we are feeling the change. Only at superficial level, or it is in inside depth level, deeper level. So vital role of education, we have seen threefold of functions of education. It can be retard the process of change. It can maintain the status quo. Education can do that. It can accelerate the process of social change. And according to V.R. Taneja, threefold functions of education are preservation of worthwhile heritage. Whatever is with us, just preserve that. This is the role of education. So threefold function, the second fold is transmission of worthwhile culture. Whatever the culture, worthwhile culture we are having with us, just transmit it to the next generation also. Don't keep it with yourself. So this will bring a good change. Then dissemination of new knowledge is a third fold of education according to V.R. Taneja. Thus motivating dynamism and stimulating progress in the society. So these are all the factors, these are all the fold functions, threefold functions we have discussed about of education that it works. Preservation, transmission and dissemination of new knowledge. Education as a creative force. Yes, students, education can be seen as a creative force because it can liquidate illiteracy. If illiteracy is not here and people are literate, they are aware, they become familiar with the important facts and knowledge, and they behave in a different way what they used to behave earlier. So preparing the folks with education and just literating them, it would be a wonderful idea if we want to bring a social change. Yes, education, of course, can remove social barriers. It can remove social barriers as those who are thinking that we are in close setup of society, so it is necessary for them to educate them. It can overcome cultural lags where the spirituality is low and materialistic culture is high. So we have to overcome from it, because if we want to have a good social change among the people. And again, education can act as a means of social reconstruction. It can strengthen democratic forces, and it can create leaders also. Now, students, let's see the expectations from students with special reference to India, how it is working. So, in if we are talking about education and social change, so first of all, prepare youth to meet challenges faced by this society. All of you are prospective teachers, and I hope you will be understanding well that meeting the challenges in the society is very much important. And when we are preparing our youth for this, the half of the war is just win in that easier way. Then secondly, educational and vocational guidance must become an integral part of the new system of education to meet the challenges of the emerging social order. Diffusion of scientific and technological education, technological knowledge is essential to bridge the gap between people who are going, children who are going to school and who are at work. So these are the expectation of the education that we expect to bring a good social change in India. Now let's discuss a little role of teachers in social change. According to W. Gordon, it is the task of the teacher to educate for change, to educate through change, to educate for orderly planned revolution, if necessary, to educate through more disruptive revolutionary action. So it is an important task of the teacher to educate the people to, if we want to bring a good social change. Now let's have importance and functions of education. Now, education definitely helps in development of natural abilities of the children. It perpetualizing eternal values among the children. It character building is the main task of the education. Preparation of adult life, development of personality, control and sublimation of basic instincts, development of a sense of community is another important function of the education. So, encouragement to social welfare is always given highest significance in the education. So, this is something that we are going to that we have discussed as important function of education: protection and increase of culture and civilization, increasing consciousness of other cultures, use of leisure, national development, developing an international feelings, improving emotional unity. So these are some references, students. You can go through them and you can read well about social change and education in a more elaborated way. There are some MCQs that are given for your practice. When you see the video, then you can practice the MCQs in a very good way. So this is all about from my side in today's lecture about social change, and I hope students you have learned well about how what is social change and how it is seen in Indian perspectives. What are the important factors? What are the important factors that is seen as a barrier to restraint to social change, and on the other hand, what are the good factors that are seen as a helper to bring social change? So thank you very much. I hope you will understand the concept with more study. And with this, I just stop my video here, and all of you take care and stay safe. Thank you.